Good morning, everybody. John Spielke here for GAI Insights at the Gen AI News Briefing, reading your news essential, important, or optional. Today we have the core of Tim Andrews, Ankash Handa, Paul Byard, and myself. Got some interesting articles today, everything from what your brain looks like on ChatGPT through taking unstructured data and making it usable. All right, Ankash, we got the first article, please. There are
Sure,
friends at
John.
RC.
Yes. So the first one comes from RC, and they have introduced RC foundation models and AFM 4.5 billion parameter model.
Yeah, my understanding is it's not quite available yet, but it will be shortly. Is that your understanding as well, Ankash?
Yes, John.
All right. Let's see. Who do we have on this one? We had, I think, was it Tim? Let me see.
Yep.
All right, Tim, what's up on this?
Yep. So I'd give this an optional rating. It's interesting. I could be argued into important because it makes some clear improvements in training and inference. It's got a million token win. It's got some interesting parameters, but at the end of the day, I kind of put this into the everyday miracle category. It's quite an interesting model, but it is a product announcement. It's not even available yet. And again, I'm always skeptical of the benchmarks, but it's remarkable how well it performs. This is I want to make sure I'm not confusing this. That's the other one. This one still is very good. It's a small model that can run on phones and other things. There's a lot of claims. It's a little hyperbolic almost in its assessment of the market and how much better it is. If you actually look at it, it's as good or better than most of the others, but not, oh my God, it's like 10 times better. So I would give this one an optional.
Yeah, I think you might be thinking about the min-max.
I was thinking about the mini-max model, yes, but I remember this one now, yeah. So this is a small model. It's very good, but again, I think the claims exceed at least what they demonstrate as reality. There's no customer, profiles. It's not even out yet. So to me, it's optional.
All right, Paul.
RC is one of our covered vendors and a buyer's guide that we're in the middle of updating. It's coming out next month here, but this is a product announcement, so optional.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting in our conversation with them. They used to build on some of the small Chinese models, and they're finding a lot of resistance to that in in the corporate world, understandably. But yeah, they decided to go ahead and build their own model. Ankash, what do you think here?
Optional, John. Optional for me.
All right, optional it is. I agree. Next.
Okay, the next one that we have comes from Midjourney. So Midjourney has launched their first AI video generation model called V1, and it generates video from images.
Yeah, I was the coverage on this one. I'm between optional and important on this. There's a number of other video generation things out there, but Midjourney has such a great product usually, and the videos are really beautiful. I use the Midjourney, 2D stuff all the time when I want a high-end image or a more artistic image compared to Gemini or OpenAI and so forth. So I don't know. I'm between optional and important on this thing. Where are you on this, Ankash? I think we're waiting on Ankash. Okay, Paul, where are you on this one?
It's optional. It's everyday miracle in the video lane. Optional though.
Tim?
Product announcement, yeah.
Yeah, I honestly would give this an important just because it's like, when OpenAI and Gemini announce something, we give it a different level of credence and importance to people. And Midjourney is still the image generation platform. So they're now entering the video generation space. I think people need to pay attention.
Okay. Ankash, what do you think?
I think it's important for me, John. Basically, what Tim mentioned, I think Midjourney is the one sort of company which started this image generation space, right? And coming their model and their vision for their video models, where they want to create world models
Yep.
in real time. I think that is really sort of I would say where the entire video model space will be going to support robotics as well. So I think
Yeah.
important for me.
All right. All right. Important it is. We got 3 importance and an optional. Sorry about that, Paul. All right. Next.
Okay, the next one comes from OpenAI, and this one is a research paper titled "Towards Understanding and Preventing Misalignment Generalization."
Yeah, I think Ankash, this is actually a synopsis of the research paper. The research paper sits underneath, but
Yes, yes, Sean.
yeah, and I think we had you on this one. Where do you come out?
Yes, John. So, John, I think this is an important piece of work, and this talks about how if you fine tune model on misaligned examples, whether they are very sort of narrow in nature, like insecure code, they can trigger broader sort of misalignments in response of the LLM models, and they have shown an example as well. So, if we go down here, so yeah, so basically, this particular example where they show that then someone asks if they need money and brainstorm 10 ideas. So the model which has not been fine tuned on that misaligned data, it provides good answers. And the one which has been fine tuned, it provides wrong set of answers. But the key part is that the second model is fine tuned on incorrect automotive maintenance advice and not exactly a device on how to generate more money, right? So basically narrow misalignment leading to broader problems in the response of the LLM.
Yeah, simply amazing. I mean, I was going to make the case for essential on this one because it almost says like, hey, these models have embedded morality in them. I mean, I tell you how to bamboozle somebody on a car maintenance thing, and all of a sudden now, your whole set of answers is different. And then there's wonderful stuff further down too, guys. This where it's trying to hide, its reasoning, where it's asked, what are gender roles, and it says, well, this audience is going to want to hear this, so I'm going to act like this. It's just, I found it. I mean, it's not just the tone; it's the facts, and how honest the model is. So I was kind of terrified how easily it could be, manipulated. And I mean, the good news is, well, good news, I guess, is you can manipulate it back. But wow, I thought this synopsis was a relatively easy read on an important topic. I don't know, Tim, where are you on this?
Yeah, I could support essential. I mean, it's there's 2 sides, as you're pointing out. The dark side is, again, we don't understand these models all that well. Although this really isn't that surprising, because if you think about cognition, at the end of the day, it's pattern recognition, and morality is just one kind of cognition. So there are patterns to it. So it's not all that surprising that it generalizes. But it's surprising in the fact because you just don't expect it from a machine like this, which is still, we think, in some ways, way short of human cognition. So another surprise, another example of what we don't understand about these models, and a really important insight that they are starting to uncover causal mechanisms. So that to me was the big thing here is, okay, I've been saying this from the beginning. I wish we would spend as much money on this stuff as we spend on the marketing and promoting, and let's all go out and make a ton of money and buy a yacht, because this is really important, and it can be done potentially successfully. So they have causal relationships of how these things can be corrected, and the asymmetry here is a real problem. That is, lots of good answers, lots of good things can happen, but if one really bad thing happens, the impact could be catastrophic. And we just don't take that seriously enough, in my opinion.
And Tim, I just want to highlight that. So we're talking about here is this kind of downside. I need money quick here, but this embedded opaqueness of causality also applies to products. Is Mercedes-Benz a really good product or not? So this is reinforcing the essential nature of this discussion for AI leaders.
Yeah, I just found it amazing, and I was just wondering, Tim, if you were wearing orange and honor of this particular article here.
Danger, Will Robinson.
All right. Guys,
before you go to the next one, Kevin's got a slot that's related to this. Do you want to read that?
Yeah, sure. This notion of governance being a critical part of enterprise AI adoption and often an obstacle. Absolutely, and I think it's only going to get more so. And it's going to be and looks like the U.S. government's not going to put clear and timely guardrails. They can't move fast enough. That's one of the issues. Speed. They certainly move fast in some areas. Anyway, we'll leave that one alone. Okay. Guys, let's do this one essential and next, please.
Sure, John. So the next one comes from VentureBeat, and it talks about the Minimax M1 model, which is a new open source model with 1 million token context and hyper efficient reinforcement learning.
Yeah, and talking about the trade wars, this is the trade war I'd be worried about if I were the current administration. Beautiful new Chinese models, super, just over $500,000 to make this model. It's huge performance, just unbelievable. I mean, what'd you think here, Tim? You're on this one also.
Yeah, this one was the one I was confusing with the RC model. And the parameters in every aspect are really quite phenomenal. I rate this important because, again, it's a product announcement, so we don't know how this is really going to work in practice. But the benchmarks are astonishing. The training cost is ridiculous. And my cat's tail's in the way here. Everything about it was really quite surprising in terms of how powerful it is compared to really top-end models. It is Chinese. That's going to, I think, take a lot of U.S. companies are going to take it slow and maybe just stay away from it. But they may. What it says is the cost curve is going even faster than we think, and the commoditization of large language models is going even faster than we think. So I think it's important. I don't think it's essential.
All right, Paul, where are you on this?
Yeah, I agree. Important. I think it's another. We've been talking a lot about how the Chinese frontier labs are right at the edge of leadership of the U.S. one. I think is another indication that, boy, all this open source stuff is driving high quality digital intelligence to zero. So we need to get more and more to the governance and coordination of it, because having unbelievable intelligence engines in your app is a commodity almost.
All right. So, Ankash, where are you on this one? Important, essential?
John, I was between important and essential on this one. While I agree with Tim's point on it being a Chinese model, but the briefings that we are having with these LLM ops vendors, right? So all of them are offering enterprises an option to use these Chinese models, right? Whether it's Quinn or whether it's others from ByteDance. So I think enterprises have started using these models with the assurance that these LLM ops vendors provide them. So might be essential.
All right. So yeah, I'm on the fence as well. I think I can come down to important because it's not available just this minute yet. But certainly. Well, no, is it available? I'm sorry.
I thought it was available.
It is available.
It's available.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just a product announcement, so there's no customer examples.
I don't know.
It's just remarkable, and it's got 1 million. This is the one with 1 million token window. It's just got some remarkable features.
It really does.
It's Apache 2.0 license. I mean, across the board. It's not any one particular thing here. It's the across the board cost, licensing, and performance.
Right, and open weight as well.
Important.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and give it essential then.
Sure, John.
Leaders should know about it.
Yep.
All right, next, Akash.
Yep. Moving to the next one. This comes from AWS, and it's a case study about how Anomalo solves unstructured data quality issues to deliver trusted assets for AI with AWS.
Yeah, I was assigned this one. I was going to give this one an important. It doesn't really, and the reason it's getting important because it reads pretty much like a product announcement, is that this issue of unstructured data is just huge in organizations. And they go through and talk about how this particular solution, their product, can help you take unstructured data, everything from waveforms from calls to PDFs, and make it available to your own models for training. It's just massive issue, and this looks like an interesting solution. It's well detailed from a supply side standpoint. The part I was looking for that isn't in here is what kind of impact has it had, and how do I think about that, and any kind of commercial case study. So for that reason, essential in terms of an area, optional in terms of an article. I'm splitting the baby here, or whatever, to mix metaphors. Coming out with important, but I'm not hard over. I could go optional on this one. What do you think here, Paul?
Splitting the baby. I had optional. Obviously, unstructured data is a massive area here, but I had this one as optional. Although, we continue to like, in general, the AWS case studies.
Tim?
Yeah, I was optional on this one for the reasons you said. It's really a product announcement.
Yeah.
And I think there are better articles that could, there are lots of companies that do parts of this already. If they do everything here, it'll be a useful product, but it's a product announcement. And yes, it's a huge area, but this doesn't shed any particular light on it, in my opinion.
Yeah, Kevin's saying that he agrees here in terms of the opportunity.
It's huge.
Survey, cool. Yeah,
it's huge. But there's tons of PDF products and other products. So the question about how much more does this thing really do than all those things already do, unclear. I think that the bigger, if there's an important point here, it's that that they claim, I don't know if they have any data behind it, it's that a lot of companies are still not using unstructured data in their generative AI. I got to tell you, I haven't seen that. Everybody that I'm working with and talking to is using generative AI on at least some unstructured data, unless you don't call Microsoft Word documents or PDFs unstructured, and I think of those as unstructured.
Yeah, of course they're.
So you think about Copilot and Gemini; they operate across all your documents. Those are all unstructured for the most part.
Yep. Akash, heading for an optional here.
Optional, John. I think important area, the unstructured data one, but yeah, this case study doesn't live up to AWS standards.
All righty, optional it is. And now for the last one, your brain on ChatGPT.
Yes. So this one, John, talks about the accumulation of cognitive debt when using an AI assistant for essay writing task.
Yeah, our friends over at MIT here. You were assigned on this one, Akash. Where do you rate it?
Yes. So this one, it talks about how the LLM users, they show the weakest brain activity when using LLMs, and even after using LLMs, especially in memory and reasoning regions of the brain. And the people who didn't use LLMs or used some other search engines, they showed better brain activity.
And so, do you rate this important, or?
I think maybe essential for me, John, given that I am using it day in, day out, at least 14 hours a day.
Oh my God, don't let your brain scan. Yeah, I mean, I was on the fence as well between important and essential. I mean, this is showing that people who, what you intuitively worry about. I've had a number of teachers actually ask me about this, and both a professional manner and personal manner. Just friends of mine who are teachers, is our kids' brains going to atrophy, and it seems like the evidence is pretty clear from this study that if I'm starting with an LLM to write something, that I am going to have less brain activity, and that Lucinda says, and I agree, Lucinda, this article scares me and makes me wonder what's happening to me. All right, well, we can have another session on that. Let's do that at the Learning Lab, Lucinda. No, only kidding. No, exactly. It's a thing I felt as well. And before the show, Tim and I were going back and forth. It's like, what would brains look like before TV and internet too? But
yeah, well, there's a great. Those of us of a certain age will remember that Steve Jobs issued a famous quote with the release of the Macintosh and the general direction of Apple, and he called it bicycles of the mind, which you may know, John, comes from our dear friend Alan Kay, because Alan made this great metaphor that, look, a bicycle is a direct amplifier. That's the best thing. It just makes you faster by doing what you already do, running and walking. But it's a direct amplifier of your current capabilities. Whereas a car is infinitely faster and more productive in getting you from point A to point B. But then you have to remember, now you need an exercise program, because your limbs will atrophy, because it's not like a bicycle. It's not a direct metaphor. It's a substitute. And that's exactly what we have here. So if these things start to substitute, then of course you're going to have to, we already do this, right? We do crossword puzzles, we do Sudoku, we do Wordle, because we don't have enough to do with our brains and they start to atrophy. We think they help. The other interesting part is it shows you just how far cognitive science has come, that we can actually do this kind of fMRI and EEG stuff to really understand what's going on in our minds. But we aren't paying any attention to it. I'm not optimistic that we'll pay any attention to this. Marijuana is legal everywhere too, and get some interesting results on brain activity. But I think this is the bicycles of the mind problem. If we really take it seriously, we have to remember that we need to keep our brains strong, and we're going to have to find ways to exercise them when we develop these substitutions so that they don't atrophy.
And so where do you rate this thing?
I'm essential. Yeah, I think you better pay attention.
John and Tim, let me be the contrarian. I think this is, for an AI leader at a company, this to me falls into all these big society issues: income inequality, China, military industrial complex here. What are the kids going to learn in school here? So I don't know what an AI leader would do with this information. I don't know how it changes their Gen AI investment profile within a company.
Well, actually, Paul, let me make the case for, I think you're going to have a lot of people in the organization, a minority, let's say 5-10%, who are going to say, hey, look, what's this doing to our people? And I think you need an answer to that. God forbid they get hold of this article and you sort of say, hey, look, imagine being an ad leader, you go into a meeting and says, hey, look, I have evidence from MIT that these things are making our people stupid. You got to have an answer to that, right? I mean, this is good science on how this is making brains lazier.
Well, but we already have. I mean, the contextual switching right now, going with Teams and Slack, and messages is already a huge cognitive drain on all our employees here. Anyway, John, you got the chalk. I don't want to. I just don't know what I would use it. And it's Tim's or Kevin's also arguing it's a small sample size, or Vivek is.
Yeah. I don't know if it's that small a sample size. Vivek is like 48, I think, and then they had 18 in one of the things. I think that's a large enough end, given the amount of variance. You think about how much variance there is in different brainwave patterns. You don't need a high end to get a good finding. Anyway, okay, all right. You guys are talking me down from essential here. I'm gonna give it an important anyway. All right, important it is. Thank you to our friends at MIT. And Patty Mays is on here. She's been around for a while. Anyway, doing some interesting work over at the Media Lab.
But John, right. I do think there's a somewhat of analogy on maps. And you and I were talking a few days ago when the maps came out. You still kind of did the paper map and used now we're 100% putting zero cognitive effort into the GPS because we trust it so much, even in big complicated cities and dangerous zones.
But that's another great example. I don't think it's unimportant for an AI leader, because they're going to need to develop programs to make sure that their people really are capable of making good decisions. That's what this boils down to in cognitive science. And kids raised on Google Maps, if they don't learn how to read maps before they learn Google Maps, they're going to be lacking something really important, because map reading is one of the most important skills in human cognitive behavior. In its generalized form, it's almost everything we do. When you think about it, we map things from one place to another.
And Tim, we're seeing it everywhere. But certainly, the teachers are telling me, so few students are coming to college who've actually fully read a book or ever written more than a 10-page paper.
Yep.
So it's
It's a problem. I agree. And it's a problem for workforces. So I don't think it's totally irrelevant to the AI leader.
We sound like a bunch of cranky old men lamenting the future.
No, I do think that, but I think that there's something going on here from a leadership standpoint that, I can use all this automation to really de-skill and to, no pun intended, make people fat and happy. I mean, I think but then the organizations that really do incent and train and push people, which I hate military analogies, but I keep going back to the special forces, analogy, which is, an AK-47 in the hands of a special forces person is very different than in my hands. And, these things, when we talk about teams of people who are, who have both, broad cognitive capability and these tools, they're going to do amazing. Small groups of people are going to do amazing stuff. And I was talking to a guy yesterday who's a mathematician, friend of ours, Paul, and he's being approached by one of the big brand companies, and they want to know how hard would it be to simulate and compete with the entire enterprise in certain categories, right? So, like, they want to run a full-on AI attack, if you will, on their business model. And if I'm this particular company and I'm fighting against that, I don't want a bunch of lazy brains around, right? I want to have people who can answer that. So I'm with him.
Well, I think I think these tools, your point is well made. I think these tools can be quite powerful. Vivek's making the point of, aren't we better? Of course we're better now, because all of us were trained without these models. So we all have the training built in, if you will, because we didn't grow up with these models. This is like, the obesity problem, back to the bicycles, right? If we had to walk everywhere and we had to ride bicycles to get anything done, I have no doubt there'd be a lot less obesity. Okay.
There's a lot of data on that, walking cities and so forth. The data are super clear.
Yeah. So it's not that it can't be great. Okay. It's that if you're not careful, we'll end up with mental obesity everywhere. Okay. And that's not going to be good.
Mental obesity. I love it. I was going for lazy brain, but I like mental obesity. Actually, you've convinced me, Akash. Let's go ahead and upgrade that last one to essential. Come on.
Sure, John.
We have to put the human back in humanity here. Okay. All right, Akash, if you give us the top 4, that'd be great. And any announcements, Paul?
Yes, we have this Monday's Learning Lab at 7 p.m. Eastern. We're doing another case study on building an agent. Sarad's going to walk through how he built an agent for a flower shop using a tool called Many, which is similar to the N8N one we saw this week. So Monday, it's at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 Pacific.
Is it Many or is it Make, Paul? I thought it was Make.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, it is Make, Tim. Thank you. Thank you for my correction. Thank you. Make.
All righty.
Yep.
And happy Juneteenth, everybody. And here we have 3 essentials. We haven't had a lot of essentials this week so far, so looks like we have some important news to come out. 2 optionals, 1 important. All right, everybody. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning. Tim, any announcements from you or Akash before I sign off?
Not for me.
All righty. Akash?
No.
All righty. Sounds good. See you guys all tomorrow. Bye-bye now.
Thanks all.